Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to live Q&A for the global community of adult survivors living with CPTSD symptoms. This week's topic is healing our CPTSD in 2018. And I know that we've done several videos on this channel regarding healing our CPTSD. This one is specifically just to differentiate. We're making sure that we put that it's 2018 on this particular video. So I have a great screen share for you guys that's from a previous video that we did. And I just want to welcome you. If you are here for the very first time and you've never participated in a live Q&A, welcome. This channel is filled with hundreds and hundreds of hours of live video where I answer questions live. And so please bear with us if you're watching it on a replay and you're not live. If you do show up live, it's every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're here. And there's a chat box, like right over here to the right. And then before we get started, I'll go ahead and just give you some hotline information if you happen to be triggered, if you're a rape, abuse, or incest survivor, if you're contemplating suicide, if you're living with an eating disorder, if there are addictions that you're battling. I have different hotline information that I would like to give you as well. So welcome, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. And I've been showing up here on this channel recording videos every week that are live for almost 4 years now. And this community has grown exponentially. There are almost 4,000 of you all healing together, all here subscribed to this channel. And you're in over 180 countries. So it's just a humbling experience to be here with you every single week. So before we get started, I just want to, in fact, I'll just read them off of here. Why don't I do that? Because every time I'm like trying to squint, and then I'll have you putting my glasses on and off the whole time. So please put your questions in the chat box located right over here if you're here live, and please do read the video description if you're here for the live discussion. And thank you for giving this video a thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. And if you would like access to an entire library of downloadable resources, just as a thank you for free for being here, for being a part of our community, you can go to one of our websites, head over to nomoreshameproject.com. You'll see a tab that says downloadables. And if you click on that, you'll fill in your email address and be given immediate access to hundreds and hundreds of pages of free content for you to download, to print, and to maybe put into a binder. I get emails from you guys and messages from you and from your therapists, from your helping professionals, your counselors, your clergy members, Christian counselors at your churches, your therapists that are not necessarily even trauma therapists. There are other types of therapists, and they've referred you to this channel, and you've shared the information with them, and then they're giving it to their other patients and clients. And so I just want to say a very sincere thank you for whether or not this is your first time being here or you've been here for almost 4 years, since 2014. I just want to say a very heartfelt thank you, and I couldn't do any of this without you guys. I have a Patreon page if you would like to donate to the work that we're doing here, and it's patreon.com/CPTSD. Or you can visit the foundation at cptsdfoundation.org. But please don't feel obligated to do anything. Just sit here and consume the content and gain access to the content that's going to help you with your own recovery journey from complex trauma. CPTSD doesn't necessarily have to originate in childhood, it just most often does. So if your complex trauma, your CPTSD symptoms are not as a result of a childhood trauma, and it's more a result of an adult interpersonal relationship with someone who is personality disordered, pathological, narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic, Machiavellian, sadistic in nature, someone lacking empathy, and you were in a long-term traumatizing relationship in adulthood, some of the content on this channel may not apply to you because we reference a lot of the content. In a lot of the content, we reference childhood trauma. When trauma occurs during childhood, specifically from birth to about 8 years old, that is when the brain is being formed and the most permanent brain damage is done. and we are left with symptoms that are CPTSD related symptoms all the way into adulthood. So I'm going to go over those symptoms. I'm going to share a screen share with you, but first I just want to give you some hotline information and welcome you into our community. Thanks for being here in the chat box, you guys. Thanks for being kind to everyone that is here with us. Thanks for welcoming all of the new people. And I know last week I took a week off. It was Christmas Day, and I was with my son and my daughter-in-law and my niece and my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and some friends, and it was amazing. It was truly a wonderful, wonderful trip. And I know that you guys were with me the week before when I was traveling on the East Coast as well. So I'm home. I'm just now getting over being sick. I might lose my voice again while I'm recording this tonight, and if so, we'll just end a little bit early. I've been sleeping for most of the last 3 days. I got home Friday night and I slept almost all day Saturday. I slept almost all day Sunday, and then today I've been not doing much. I've just been resting, just because I haven't been physically well. I keep losing my voice. I've had some swollen glands, and my body's been taking a toll. So I'm so excited that you guys have chosen to be here and that you care about your recovery journey and that you want to get well and that you want to do so here in a community filled with other people that have lived through similar situations to what you've lived through. It truly is one of the most powerful ways that you can heal. So welcome, welcome. And I'm going to give you some hotline information now and just some basic welcome information. So as I said, this is live Q&A for adult survivors of childhood abuse, incest, human trafficking, narcissistic abuse, complex trauma, and cult abuse living with CPTSD symptoms. If you're looking to receive support, share support, and acquire some new, healthier life skills, then you have landed in the right place. What questions do you have for me on the topic of healing CPTSD symptoms from childhood trauma? And even better, what wisdom do you have to share? What helpful advice do you have for our community members on the topic of healing CPTSD symptoms as a result of childhood trauma? If you could put those over in the chat box if you're here for the live discussion, or pop them down below in the comments section if you're watching a replay that's not, you're not here on January 1st, 2018. Happy New Year, you guys. Please take a few moments and, like I said earlier, read the video description if you're here to participate in the weekly discussion for survivors. And again, thank you all for being here and for supporting one another. You guys truly are the reason why this community is so healing and powerfully transforming. And as a gentle reminder, this chat and video and all of the resources on this channel and on all of the websites, they are not intended to be a therapeutic service or a diagnosis of any kind. If you want or need therapy, please, please always seek an experienced professional, a qualified experienced professional. These videos are never a substitute for professional health care. I am not a doctor and I'm not a psychologist. All the videos on this channel are shared from a lived experience or a coaching perspective. I am a trauma recovery and wellness coach. That is what I am. And I'm sharing my 17-year healing journey with you guys. Almost 18 years now. You guys, can you believe that? Oh my goodness. I openly discuss research that I've conducted or that's been conducted by you guys, the community volunteers that send me the research that you find. Trigger warning, tonight's video and chat discuss abuse, trafficking, complex PTSD, and oftentimes the questions sent in by our community members include graphic details. So please practice excellent self-care while you're participating here tonight in this chat. And if you are in crisis right now or you need immediate help, please dial 911 or reach out to the following hotlines. If you are a survivor of rape, abuse, or incest, please reach out to our friends at RAINN, the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. That's RAINN.org. Or you can dial 1-800-656-HOPE, H-O-P-E. If you are contemplating suicide, please reach out to our friends at the Suicide Prevention Lifeline.org, 1-800-273-TALK, T-A-L-K. If you are prone to self-harm or you're having thoughts of self-harm during this broadcast or right now, please dial 1-800-366-8288. If you are living with an addiction and you would like help with that, please dial 1-800-662-4357. If you're living with an eating disorder, anorexia nervosa, bulimia, binge eating disorder, if you're living with body dysmorphia, anything food related, please dial 1-800-931-2237, or you may dial 1-888-233-6949. You may also go to bulimia.org, bulimia.org, and they actually have crisis counselors available 24/7 for any type of eating disorder to talk with you about that. If you are in a domestic violence situation, please dial 1-800-799-SAFE, that's SAFE. And if you are experiencing tremendous amount of grief due to the betrayal that you are processing and going through because of the childhood you never had, the innocence that was stolen, loss of relationship of a loved one that you thought was a confidant and they ended up being an abuser or enabler, if you're grieving something like that related to your abuse and your trauma, 800-395-5755. And if you prefer text messaging, which some of us do, please reach out to our friends at the crisistextline.org, and you can text the word START to 741-741. So all that information, I know it takes me a couple minutes to say it all. I do like to share that every single week. It is important that we take responsibility and we share that information. So it's right over here in the text, in the chat box. If you just page up to the top, all of that information is there. If you guys could please copy it and paste it and tweet it or share it on Facebook, or just keep it on your clipboard ready for anyone you see that comes along that may need that information. You could save a life and it would have costed you not $1, only a moment of your time. And I'm very passionate about preventing suicide if we possibly can, and also helping those who are struggling with maladaptive coping strategies, self-harm, addiction, eating disorders, and are not able thus far to have healed from their complex trauma, and they're still dealing with the devastating after effects of that are showing up in addictions or self-harm or suicidal ideation. It means a lot to me that you guys care enough to share that information. So highlight it, copy it, paste it, Control-C, Control-V, or if you're on a smartphone, just touch it, touch copy, and then go somewhere on a social network, anywhere, and touch it and click paste and send it out. And thank you for doing that. If you have made it here live for the weekly discussion, and you're here right now, and you're watching it, and everybody is still chatting right here in the box, then please give this video a thumbs up. It means a lot to me. You ask me every week how you can help me with this work I do in the survivor community, and the best way you can help me right now at this present moment, at least for the next few weeks until I have like a new place to send you and a new way to tell you to help me, please just give this video a thumbs up. Please share it with someone that you think it might help. Please subscribe to this channel. And again, post your questions over in the chat box if you're here live, or down in the comments section, even if it's just a comment, even if it's just to say thank you. Your guys' comments and questions mean the world to me. So many thanks, finally, to our family, our village of amazing humans that make this weekly event possible. I couldn't do it without any of you guys. So very special thank you to Dawn and Matt, who are moderating, Kalisha, who manages the Survivor Community Instagram account, to Jody B, who tweets out all the amazing awareness information on Twitter all day, every single day. Thank you to Poppy, who makes incredible memes and images and shares those out every single day over on Twitter. Thank you especially to Lisa, who is welcoming all of our new community members into our safe groups. If you're not yet welcomed into a safe group, I want to welcome you. If you want to be in a place with other survivors who understand what it's like to be healing from complex trauma, and they know that it doesn't happen overnight, and that yes, it could have happened 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and you could still be dealing with the after effects. And no one will ever tell you to get over it or what's wrong with you, and you know, you should be over it by now. So if you're looking for that type of community and you're excited about that, please email Lisa at cptsdfoundation.org, and she will send you some questions, dialogue back and forth with you, and get you plugged into the proper community that would best serve you. We have tons of groups. We have a women's group, we have a co-ed group, we have an LGBT group, we have a group just for narcissistic abuse survivors. Coming really, really soon in the beginning of 2018, we're going to have a food issues group for those of us who have food issues and may or may not be living with an eating disorder, diagnosed or undiagnosed. And for those of us who want to heal from a faith-based or a biblical perspective, I'll be opening up a faith-based group as well for us. So I'll be leading that. Super exciting. And thanks to Heather, who runs the group online for all of the spouses and family members and supporters of all of us trauma survivors. She is just a tremendous asset to this community, and I just want to say thank you to her. And then to Harriet, who does all of our transcription and handles a ton of stuff behind the scenes so that all of us can have all the resources that we have. She does so much. So special thank you to Harriet and all of you other volunteers who have done so much to help this community. I'm just eternally grateful to you, and I'm wishing you guys a happy New Year's. So again, tonight's topic will be triggering for anyone who has experienced abuse, childhood maltreatment. Please step away. Step away if you're triggered and receive the crisis support that you deserve because you're worth it. And remember, everyone who arrives here tonight, everyone who arrives here tonight is deserving of unconditional love, acceptance, welcoming, and safety. So please always be kind and welcoming to every single person who arrives here with us. It takes a lot of courage to be here. It takes a lot of courage to click on a video and to admit that there's something that we need help with. So if you choose to be unkind, you will be blocked. You'll be put in timeout on YouTube or otherwise removed forever, and you won't be welcome back. So thank you for cultivating and maintaining an environment of kindness and acceptance and love. We are worthy of that. And even though we experienced a ton of maltreatment and unjust things that were wrong in childhood and in many of our adult years, we are worthy of kindness, and that's why we're here. We're changing our environment so that we can show up differently in the world and we can cultivate healthier relationships. So remember, again, you will be blocked, you will be removed, and you will be unwelcome here if you choose to act in a way which is unkind towards any of our community members, period. You will not be welcome back here with us ever. So in order for this to be a safe place, we each need to be mindful and step away, again, if we are triggered. And we're not to seek crisis support here in the chat box. I'm not set up to do crisis support. I'm here to share information and answer your questions and just provide a safe space for you to come. So, and last but certainly not least, thank you all for being here. Thank you for supporting one another. You guys truly are why this community is so beautiful and powerfully transforming. And I'm really grateful for the love that you give and receive every single week, that you have been giving and receiving every single week for over 3 years, almost 4 years. So I'm sending you guys a lot of love and strength and support. Just remember, you belong and you're worthy and you are loved and you are good and you are lovable. Okay, I know those things are hard to believe, especially if we've been taught differently from our families of origin from a very young age, but they're true. They're true. They might not feel true yet, but I promise you they're true. You're lovable, you're good, you're worthy, okay? And you're welcome here, you belong. So if you enjoyed this video, I would love to keep in closer touch with you if you would like. So head over to cptsdfoundation.org and sign up to be notified when I put out content, free content, affordable content. I provide free and affordable resources to those who cannot afford it. And no spammers allowed at cptsdfoundation.org, please. No spammers allowed here either. Thanks for being so vigilant and keeping everybody at bay. And again, any thumbs up that you bless me with on this channel, they definitely help me so that YouTube puts my videos up in people's recommended videos when they search for stuff, and then more survivors receive access free access to the support they need to heal from complex trauma. So, and I started a vlog channel, which I haven't recorded any vlogs yet, but I'm going to. And I'm going to be working with one of our community members who I'm going to be training them to be my creative intern. And they're going to be editing a whole bunch of videos that are going to be more vlog style, like day in the life of, like this is how I handle this type of thing. And just sharing the beautiful place I live here in Hawaii and the peace that I have found here. And that's over at youtube.com/mostly Athena. So, and the link is down in the description of this video right now. If you click down there at the very, 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 very bottom of the description, right above the comments. So, healing CPTSD in 2018. I want to start this video off by saying that I am not the answer. And there is no one perfect answer. There's no one size fits all for CPTSD recovery. CPTSD is complex, therefore it needs a complex approach. It's not simple, it's complex. And that means that when we have a multi-pronged wound, we address it in a multi-pronged way, and that is what helps us the most. So, you know, on this channel, if you've been here for any length of time, I talk a lot about other YouTubers who provide excellent resources for complex trauma survivors. You need to find a YouTuber who you like, who doesn't annoy you. Their voice doesn't get on your nerves. You like their style. Perhaps you like brief videos and you only want them to be like 5 minutes long max. Then you're probably gonna enjoy Katie Morton. K-A-T-I Morton, M-O-R-T-O-N. She's here on YouTube. She's amazing. Perhaps, Harriet, you can link up all these people that I'm talking about down in the description for when people are watching the replay. Harriet, thank you. So Katie Morton's YouTube channel, you can find her easily by searching for Katie Morton, or there will be a link down in the description tomorrow on January 2nd. And then if you prefer from a male perspective, then you would probably love Richard Grannon. He uses a lot of movie quotes, movie references. He's a master NLP practitioner. He uses a lot of hypnotic suggestions, and he approaches CPTSD. He has an amazing course that has 7 modules. And it's been extremely effective for me personally and for a couple of my clients as well. If you've endured narcissistic abuse, and Harriet, if you could link up to Richard Grannon's YouTube channel below, that'd be amazing. Lisa Romano, she's a breakthrough life coach, and she's located here on YouTube, and she has amazing videos for adult survivors of childhood abuse who are living with CPTSD symptoms and perhaps are prone to codependency. She's really, really amazing. And you can watch all of her videos for free. She also has paid courses. There's a gal named Meredith who is bilingual. She speaks English and Spanish, and she's located here on YouTube. And Harriet, if you could link her up below, her channel name is Inner Integration. And then there's another channel called Peace and Harmony. And Harriet, if you could link up Peace and Harmony down below, that would be amazing. If you are looking to read some books, I highly recommend, and Harriet, if you could link up the names of the books below, that would be awesome as well. You could look up Pete Walker, CPTSD, or no, Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving. And then he has a new book here that I'm in the middle of reading. I don't wonder if my Judith Herman book is here right now as well. I don't think it is. But I'm in the middle of reading Pete Walker's second book, and it's called Homesteading. And he shares some of his personal journey in this book, and it's from a therapeutic perspective, but he talks about his own complex PTSD, and it's really a wonderful book. It's very well written. I'm going to be interviewing him, and I'm so very excited in the spring. And then if you are looking for a toxic relationship community, those healing from toxic relationships, you can find my friend and colleague Bree Bonchet, and her website Harriet, if you could link it below, is called freefromtoxic.com. That's her blog. And then what is this? Which book is this that I have right here? Oh, this is an excellent book. If you guys, I'm in the middle of reading this as well. It's called Psychopath Free, and I highly recommend it. You guys will benefit from these books. They're amazing. And then, of course, if you want to learn more about, like, if you're a practitioner, I recommend looking into. Oh gosh, I can't. I believe it's Laurel Parnell. Laurel Parnell. She's written a few great books, several great books, and she does some training on EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which is really great for trauma. And then, of course, if you just want to learn about mental illness in general, there's the DSM. This is the 5th edition. I don't know when the 6th edition is coming out. And then we're going to discuss on the one page in a little bit that the DSM-6 isn't out yet, so CPTSD isn't something that is recognized in America, but in other countries, complex PTSD is definitely a diagnosis and definitely being treated from a multi-pronged approach. Ooh, Lori Gill. Lori Gill is another excellent resource for you. She runs a treatment center up in Toronto, St. Catharines, Canada, and that's attch.org, and she deals mostly with attachment trauma. She works closely with Bessel van der Kolk, Peter Levine, Dan Siegel, a lot of the pioneers. And then I don't have my trauma and recovery book. I was reading it on the plane, so it's in my bag still. I just got home. But Judith Herman, Trauma and Recovery, is an excellent book for you guys. And these are all wonderful resources for you. Again, there's no magic bullet. There's no one magic thing that you're going to do to heal your complex PTSD in 2018. But go to SpartanLifeCoach.com, and there is a course that Richard is selling, and I believe it's on a total cure for CPTSD. And I'm not 100% sure. I can't say it's a total cure because I'm not totally cured yet, but I can vouch for it personally and tell you that it's been a transformational experience for me, following all of the modules and doing everything that he's telling me to do over and over and over and over and over again. I think the key is in the repetition. I know he might agree with that as well and probably tell you that the key is in the repetition. But he breaks it down. There's 7 modules, and it's a multi-pronged approach. And then it's interesting because you just do what he tells you to do, and then effortlessly you don't respond the way you used to respond. You don't get as many emotional flashbacks. When something traumatic happens or something that normally used to trigger you, it just doesn't trigger you anymore. And you're like, wow, it didn't trigger me. Like, I'm surprised. Or, wow, it's been days since I've had suicidal ideation. Or, gosh, it's been a few weeks since I've felt triggered by anything, and I actually feel really good. Like, it's kind of scary. Oh my goodness, I'm feeling so much better, you know. And that's just from me personally, that I've been doing the course, and I have a couple clients that are doing it as well, and they're also experiencing similar similar success and freedom from symptoms of complex PTSD, the hopelessness, the worthlessness, the hypervigilance, the wondering who you are and what is the authentic me. I have no idea who I even am. I feel like my insides have been scooped out. Oftentimes, complex PTSD differs, of course, from classic PTSD in that if you're living with symptoms of complex PTSD, it is due to you being traumatized over a long period of time, usually, not always, starting in childhood. And then classic PTSD can occur from a one-off incident. If you were robbed, or you were carjacked, or you went to war, or if there was a natural disaster, there was a fire, there was an earthquake, someone broke into your home, divorce, death of a loved one, death of a pet. Those are things that happen once, and it's very traumatic, and then you suffer the consequences of that for years until you address that trauma. Well, complex PTSD is when you suffer at the hands of usually a trusted person or someone that was supposed to be trusted, and you are unable to escape this traumatic environment, and you fear for your life. When you're a child, everything is like, I'm going to die. You honestly think you're going to die because, you know, the sun rises when you're little, and, you know, there's a story about little children that see the sunrise and they say, did I do that? Like, they honestly are like, did I make that happen? Like, all they know is them, you know. They open their eyes and it's light out, and they close their eyes and it's dark out. So they feel like they're in charge of everything. They're responsible for everything. And so similarly, if there is something traumatic going on in their life, their first question in their mind is, did I do that? I must have done that. Like, I need to make sure I don't do that anymore. And then when the trauma or the abuse continues to happen, they rack their brain and lose their mind. There's stop. They're like, if I did this, maybe I could stop it, but I don't know how to stop it. And so it really is very, it is so devastating. So devastating when trauma happens at a young age into adulthood. And then sadly, we perpetuate the cycle by cultivating relationships that are less than healthy and usually very toxic and abusive, that mimic the relationships that we had when we were younger. So the good news in all of this is that there is hope. Healing is possible. Recovery is possible. It is recovery. I know a lot of people have trouble with the word recovery. They're like, I'm not an addict. I don't need to recover, you know. But that's the wrong mindset to have. Recovering from trauma is what happens. We have to, even if we had no life prior to the trauma, recovery looks more like discovery or an uncovering of who we really are. But regardless of the semantics, it's a recovery. It's a journey. It's a process. You are here, you want to get there, and there is a journey. And that journey is called recovery. You're recovering who you really are. You're recovering your sanity. You're discovering who you really are. You're discovering your sanity. You're discovering peace and hope and joy and healthy relationships, sometimes for the very first time. So I'm so happy that you've chosen to be here. I'm going to answer as many questions as I possibly can tonight. Really quickly, I want to say thank you to those of you who have sent in your questions. One is to Petty Lou, John Harvey, Holistic Recovery, Sabra, Mrs. Ramirez, Heroes Don't Wear Capes, Hunter, Declan, Nora, Amy Joy, August. I want to say thank you to all of you guys for already sending in your questions. I'm only going to be going an hour tonight, so I will be answering all of your questions for the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then I will continue next week, coming back to the questions that I did not get to. And I'm really just grateful that you guys are here. I want to quickly, before I'm going to answer a couple questions, and then I want to make sure that I share the screen share with you guys, which you can get immediate access to, along with all the other resources that we have that we've created over the years. Right now, they're located at nomoreshameproject.com, and you can just click on downloadables, and they're all free. So print those out, put them in a notebook, heal your CPTSD in 2018. Do everything you possibly can. And if a quick note on EMDR, even if you are studying Laurel Parnell's book, or if you're a helping professional, I do know that EMDR eye movement desensitization and reprocessing is extremely effective in the healing of complex trauma when our dissociative episodes are not out of control and leaning more towards the DID diagnosis. If you are living with a lifestyle that is including regular bouts of dissociation that are not predictable, and what I mean by that is if you are waking up and finding yourself in places that you don't know where you are, or you dissociate for unknown amounts of time, and people often tell you that they've seen you do things or heard you say things and you don't have any recollection of that, EMDR might not be the best modality for you, but there is still hope. There are so many different modalities that are very effective for complex trauma. I have bouts of dissociation that are rather predictable, meaning that I had a lot of trauma happen to me in the bathroom when I shower. And so every time I shower, as much as I try to avoid it, I try to count the songs, I try to sing along with the songs, I try to stay fully present, I put a clock in there, I set alarms, but I end up dissociating when I'm in the shower. And so I know that when I take a shower, I'm going to dissociate, and I've stopped shaming myself because I didn't bring this on myself, this happened to me, and I'm just healing from it. So if your bouts of dissociation are predictable, and for instance, I'm not going to go to EMDR, I'm not going to head over to Sonia's office while I'm in the shower because I can't be in two places at once. So EMDR has been very effective for me because my bouts of dissociation are not when I'm with Sonia. They're when I'm in the shower. So they're more predictable. And so that's why EMDR has been successful. But please don't fret. Please don't fret and give up hope if you are dissociating or if you are living with a DID diagnosis or a DDNOS diagnosis. It doesn't mean that you will not heal. You will heal. Healing is possible, I promise you. It's a multi-pronged approach. And one of those prongs doesn't have to be EMDR. It just happens to be EMDR for me. It's working for me. So I'm going to answer a couple questions to the best of my ability, and then I'm going to do a screen share, and I'm going to let you guys go, and we're going to come back next week every single Monday until we answer everybody's questions on the topic of healing your CPTSD in 2018, because that's what we want to do. I'm so happy you guys are here. Hi, Dawn. Okay, so Petty Lou says, the past that my CPTSD consumes, it consumes my mind 24/7. The past consumes my mind 24/7. That is one of the reasons I quit. How can I go back to therapy but still be able to cut off and be happy, positive, and myself too? So, Petty Lou, I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for being brave and sending in this question. I don't know that it's possible to go to therapy, work on trauma therapy, and continually be happy, positive, and yourself. So I know that's not the answer you probably wanted. You probably wanted like a more hopeful, cheery answer, because I'm hopeful and cheery. But I'm being honest with you. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean you can't go to therapy and still be happy, hopeful, and cheerful and yourself? Well, when I go to EMDR or I go to therapy, and in our closed community that you can join for free, I record weekly debrief videos of my EMDR sessions. And when I record those videos, I'm not always happy, cheerful, positive, and myself. In fact, sometimes I'm pretty spaced out, and I have what I call EMDR brain, where I'm kind of looking off into, I can't even like mimic it. All I know is that I feel like I'm far, far, far away, and I can't really put together my thoughts in order. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason that I need to fall apart before I can get put back together. And that is neuroplasticity. That is making new roads, new neurotransmitters, new neural pathways, not new neurotransmitters, new neural pathways. And so what that means is I am reprocessing old memories that I processed, but I had to process them first, which is painful. Pain, 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 not positive, happy, joyful myself, but processing them, which is necessary. I have to go through them. I can't go over them or around them or under them and expect to heal. So I process the memory, and then when I do EMDR, I reprocess the memory, and through bilateral stimulation and eye movement, I'm able to create new neural pathways so that when a trigger comes, and I would normally go down the road of an emotional flashback, and I would be spun out and perhaps not present for days at a time, instead of taking that road, I take a different road because of EMDR, because of bilateral stimulation and eye movement. If we're not talking about EMDR, this conversation is still relevant. When I go to therapy, I'm not always happy and cheerful and myself and positive all the time, but what I do is I allow myself to feel all of my feelings because they are loyal messengers. And as I choose to acknowledge them and feel them, that's processing. And when we choose to process, eventually we heal and we're back to normal, positive, hopeful ourselves. But one has to come before the other. We can't refuse to go to therapy or choose to not go to therapy and not process our painful memories, not address what happened, and expect to be ourselves. It's a process. It's going to take a while. We're going to have to address those things which are painful, acknowledge them, bear witness to that pain, be seen and heard. You deserve it. You deserve to heal, Eddie Lou. And then once we do that, shortly thereafter, depending on the level of trauma, depending on the severity of your CPTSD symptoms, then you will begin to feel more like yourself. Sometimes it takes a couple years. Sometimes you'll start to feel better right away. Sometimes after 8 sessions of EMDR, someone's like, woo, I'm good. And they feel amazing for like 5 or 6 years. That's what happened to me on my 3rd round of sort of like delving into my traumatic past. The 3rd round, which was probably in 2006 or 7, I started this back in 2000. But yeah, I all of a sudden was feeling fantastic for years and years and years. But it just took me a while. So I know it's not the answer you wanted to hear, but it's the truth. So you can choose to go back to therapy if you want to. You're not going to feel, you can't cut off. I don't think you can cut off and then be happy, positive in yourself. I think you just have to allow yourself the honor of feeling all of those feelings and bearing witness to your truth, bearing witness to your pain. And perhaps you might not have had the best therapist. Maybe it wasn't the right therapist for you. I don't know. But that's always a possibility. Always a possibility. So John Harvey says, what do you do when you feel you can't heal anymore and you still have some issues? If I feel I can't heal anymore and I still have some issues, I have to face the reality that I still have healing to do. It's not the answer that I want. I want to be able to believe that, well, I've done all I can do. I have issues that need to be healed, but I just don't feel like I can heal anymore. I'm exhausted. John Harvey, what you could do is press the pause button. You could give yourself permission to just take some time off of therapy. If you're just exhausted and you're like, I'm so sick of healing, healing is hard, I'm done. Like, I want to stop right now. I want to give myself a break. Then do that. Allow yourself permission. You guys are in charge of your own journey. You're in charge of your own therapy. You're in charge of your own recovery. And you can choose to pause. I did. I paused for a couple years until I couldn't deal anymore. Till I was like, not okay. And then I went back to therapy and I started doing EMDR again, which I'm really, really happy because, you know, sometimes you just need to pause. I was doing super duper fine from like 2006 all the way to like 2011. Super consistent. And then I stopped. I decided to stop. So from 2011 to 2013, I didn't go to therapy. I was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine. Turns out I wasn't fine. Had stuff that I still needed to deal with. And I hadn't established healthy boundaries with some of my very toxic loved ones and abusers and enablers. And so I was flung into emotional flashbacks, flung into PTSD flashbacks, and then I had to get back into therapy in 2014 immediately. And that's how this YouTube channel was birthed. You guys are part of the process. So it's hard, but it's worth it. Holistic Recovery says, how can we stay positive and persistent with our goals and not get discouraged and give up too soon? It can be hard with CPTSD triggers. Oh my gosh, it can be so hard with CPTSD triggers. Also, I've never seen Holistic Recovery here, and so if someone could tag Holistic Recovery, I'm not sure if they know how the video broadcasts work, how they send their questions in like an hour ago, and then I'm finally answering their questions. So they probably gave up and left. So if someone could tag Holistic Recovery and just let them know that I'm finally answering their question. And same for Petty Lou. Sorry that it took me so long. But I think the key for me, because this is from a lived experience and coaching perspective, the key for me, Holistic Recovery, to staying positive and staying persistent with my goals and not getting discouraged and giving up too soon, I think that has been all about surrounding myself with people who will lift me up, people who will push me forward in the direction of where I'm going, people who believe in me, people who are cheering me on, people who believe in my healing. They believe in my recovery journey. They believe I'm adding value to this world. They see that I have a good attitude most of the time, but I'm just struggling. They see that I'm listening to those voices in my head, and they remind me that I need to be listening to more positive, affirming voices rather than the inner critic inside my head. They see that I spend a lot of time helping others and that I might be neglecting my own self-care, and they encourage me to take care of myself. They see that I'm, reaching out and I'm really trying to establish and maintain healthy boundaries, but there might be a couple areas where I'm allowing toxic individuals into my life. So they just gently remind me, like, hey, we're noticing this and we just want to let you know. And I'm always really grateful. And then again, the people I'm mentioning, they see that I'm doing my best to add value to the world and that I might just be struggling. And they remind me that my struggle is temporary. And if you're interested, Holistic Recovery, if you're not already plugged into some of our free safe groups, then please email Lisa, because she's super awesome and she'll help you. I used to welcome everybody in myself, but it's a lot going on. I'm handling all the programming and everything, and I'm doing so much, so I can't do all of it. So email Lisa at cptsdfoundation.org. If someone could please type in that email address into the chat box over here, or down in the comment section, so that Lisa can invite people into safe groups if they're not already surrounded by encouraging individuals that will boost them up and remind them of where they're going and the progress they've made, and so that they're not getting discouraged, and so they don't forget about their goals, and so they don't give up, because CPTSD recovery is a process. It is such a long process, and we can get discouraged and give up, and we can, our goals seem out of reach. But when we surround ourselves with others who have lived our pain and that see how hard we're working, it really does help. And that's been the key for me, I think, especially during this last round, this fourth wave of trauma recovery. The key for me in the third and fourth wave have been those around me that remind me of where I came from, how far I've come, and where I'm going. So I hope that's helpful. Sabra says, is there a good way to format our CPTSD healing goals for the year without creating a giant guilt trip? There is, Sabra. I think finding a couple of words to focus on, and like you're finding a couple of touchstones that are like your words that remind you of your goals. That it's not a list. It's not a big list. It's not an exhaustive list, a comprehensive list of all the things we want to do. But like for me this year, so my husband and I were discussing this morning during our quiet time. For me this year, my 2 words are remember and rest. And so what you can you can decipher that however you want to, because you're creative. All of you are. But for me, my husband asked how he could pray for me this year, and I told him that I really felt like in order for me to maintain this journey and to go farther than I've ever gone, I need to remember and I need to rest. And I'll leave that to your imagination, because there are a lot of things in this recovery journey that I need to remember. I need to remember how far I've come. I need to remember my best practices that I've adopted into my own recovery journey. I need to remember my daily habits, my quiet time. I need to remember my physical health, my mental and emotional health, my relational health, my financial health, my business health, my spiritual health. I need to remember just all the different ways that I show up in the world and the different areas that I focus on. I need to remember that I've come so far. I really have. And then rest is self-explanatory. I forget to rest sometimes. So it's easy to forget to rest. It's easy to go, right? And focus on that exhaustive, comprehensive list and then guilt trip our way into reaching at least one goal this year. But for me, I have accountability in place with colleagues and with a coach, and I have a mental health team. You know, like I have, you know, my therapist, I'm doing EMDR. I always have a coach. I think the best is the talk. And I have colleagues that are amazing that keep me focused, and they remind me of all the good things I'm doing. And then I have my clients that, I mean, I'm so passionate about helping them. So I think just finding touch points throughout the week, Sabra, touch points throughout the day. And then I think gratitude plays a huge role in my life, but I know a lot of people hate it when I talk about gratitude. Harriet, if you could pop up the YouTube card on the role that gratitude plays in our recovery, and then after that, the one on journaling, and then the previous healing your CPTSD from childhood trauma video. So boom, 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 those 3 YouTube cards for gratitude, journaling, and then the other healing your CPTSD from childhood trauma video that we did. I believe it was in June 2016, I believe. Those are 3 that are really good reminders. And then I think I only have 2 YouTube cards left, otherwise I run out. But maybe, Harriet, if you could pop up the one on books for your recovery journey, and then music and other like creative, I think it was music and podcasts or something. And I think that's 5. I think I only have 5 YouTube cards per video. So hopefully Harriet will pop those up, and they'll be available for you. Well, they're already there. They're all there on YouTube, but they'll be easily clickable by the 2nd of January. So Sabra, I hope that's helpful for you. Oops, it's about time to end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end on last year or 2 years ago, we made this one page. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to read it really quick, and then I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. It's really, really helpful, though, and it's all about CPTSD. And let me know if you guys can see this. I hope you can see this. And then next week, I'll start with Mrs. Ramirez's question. And then I'll read another question from Holistic Recovery. Heroes Don't Wear Capes. Declan, Nora, Amy Joy, August, Billy Hawkins, John Harvey, and that's it. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. And thanks for giving this video a thumbs up, you guys. It means a lot to me. While post-traumatic stress disorder, I'm starting right up here. Oops, there we go. So while post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, can develop after individual experiences, an individual experiences a traumatic event, some survivors end up with a more pervasive and complicated form of the mental health disorder referred to as complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD. CPTSD develops usually in childhood after prolonged exposure to a traumatic or abusive environment where the victim cannot escape or believes they cannot escape due to grooming or threats to their safety or the safety of someone they love. This also includes the safety of your pets as well, you guys. Don't forget that. I had a client once that was threatened with her abuser. One of her abusers threatened to kill her pet if she did not acquiesce to his demands. And so that went on for years, and it was very traumatic. I'm going to start back up here on typically. Typically, CPTSD stems from this type of chronic abuse during the critical developmental period of ages 3 to 8 years old. The abuse can take on any number of forms: emotional, sexual, verbal, and/or physical. This also includes religious abuse and cult abuse and human trafficking, you guys. Neglect and a chaotic, dysfunctional family environment or upbringing can also contribute to an individual having CPTSD. Abuse, which spans this developmental time frame, is likely to cause pervasive changes to the survivor's personality and worldview. Survivors are groomed, also referred to as manipulated over a period of time, to believe that they are unlovable and unworthy of love and safety. Survivors are also often blamed for causing their own abuse. They are taught by their abusers that they are powerless to keep themselves safe and that the world is a dangerous, unfriendly place. When these erroneous beliefs are taught and reinforced over a lengthy period during the critical brain development, these unhealthy thinking patterns become hardwired into the survivor's personality. CPTSD is categorized by emotional flashbacks, which are different than the flashbacks typically seen in PTSD patients, difficulties with attachment, biological problems such as sensory integration problems, changes to the brain, and an increased risk of developing autoimmune disorders, damage to executive functioning, dissociation, including dissociative identity disorder, and also DDNOS, behavioral problems such as difficulties with impulse control, aggression, self-harming behavior, and sleep disturbances, problems with emotional regulation, and a disturbed self-concept that results in body image problems, low self-worth, and excessive shame. Although CPTSD has not been formally recognized in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders 5th edition, CPTSD is well known within the psychiatric and psychological community. CPTSD may be harder to recover from than classic PTSD, but it is entirely possible. Treatment needs to be provided over a long period of time as the problems and difficulties are deeply rooted in the abuse survivor's personality and the perceptions of themselves and the world. Neuroplasticity, this is the million dollar finding right here, you guys. Neuroplasticity is what gives us hope. Neuroplasticity will allow us to develop new, healthy beliefs and thoughts that can replace the ones we learned in our abusive childhood. The very best treatment approach for CPTSD is a multi-pronged approach which provides a variety of therapy methods: emotionally focused therapy, also known as EFT or tapping, somatic therapy, also known as somatic experiencing, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, also known as EMDR, expressive therapies, dialectical behavior therapy, also known as DBT, neurolinguistic programming, also known as NLP, and group therapy. Not mentioned here is cognitive behavioral therapy, which has played a huge part in my own recovery journey. Lastly, grieving the healthy childhood we did not have, as well as choosing to establish and maintain healthy interpersonal boundaries with those who abused you or enabled your abuse, are also an integral part of the healing needed to fully recover from CPTSD. I cannot express this I cannot emphasize this more. Boundaries are going to be the key to whether or not you actually are able to heal. I'm going to go down and finish right here. As painful as this healing journey can be, it is possible to heal from your child abuse if and when you choose to limit contact with your abusers and those who enabled your abuse. Note, child abuse is damaging and even deadly to adult survivors. Apart from consciously choosing to limit contact with your abusers, there is no cure or true healing. You deserve to heal. You deserve to live in peace away from the effects of your abuser. We are here to support you, encourage you, and lead the charge. So what I mean by that, you guys, is, and I'll close with this because I know we're right at time right now. When we choose to allow our abusers and enablers and other toxic individuals to stay in our lives and text us whenever they want, pop by our house whenever they want, call us whenever they want, email us, send us packages, presents, gifts, contact us. When we allow them to do those things, and we don't communicate in a firm yet respectful way and let them know that we would prefer less contact with them, if not no contact. And we don't even need to communicate it. We can just choose to not communicate with them anymore. But when we choose to allow them to still have access to us, what we're doing is we are letting our body and our subconscious mind know that we are not safe and that we are still in danger. And remember, the brain processes emotional pain in the same way that it processes physical pain. So while you may not be a child anymore being abused, if emotional abuse and verbal abuse were part of your abuse and your abusers or enablers are still emotionally abusing you or verbally abusing you or manipulating you, then that sends those old messages from childhood. It triggers those and it sends them to our body and to our subconscious, and we will never heal. That's why establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries are one of the main cornerstones of healing from CPTSD. So if you are not feeling like your CPTSD recovery is moving along fast enough for you, just pause and check in with yourself on how often you allow yourself to be influenced by emotional abuse or verbal abuse or any type of abuse, and limit that abuse in your life, and surround yourself, get plugged into a safe community. Email Lisa at cptsdfoundation.org and get plugged into a safe community of others who are healing so you can heal right alongside them and heal at an exponential rate because you deserve it. So Happy New Year. I'm going to end this video now. I will be back every single Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here. And sometime tomorrow, all the YouTube cards will be available and all the links will be available down below in the description section. And I can't wait to heal right alongside you in 2018 and experience the peace and joy and happiness and healthy relationships and healthy lifestyle and overall wellness that we deserve. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for giving this video a thumbs up and for subscribing to this channel and for sharing my videos. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Happy New Year. See you next week.